Welcome back for part 2, where we're going to be talking about technology and data. In your recent paper, Screwed, The Real Value of Data, you and your co-author argue that data is the foundation that ports and terminals would be built on in the future. Why has this conversation shifted from concrete to data?
My personal background is mechanical engineering, so I can deeply appreciate the love to steel and concrete. But again, in regard to sustainability goals, it's so important to find ways to have a lean approach, to be infrastructure light, and to be so. AI, machine learning help a lot, as we pointed out before, and they need data. It's their fuel to be able to do what they do. So data is one of the most precious resources we have in the future. And to make use of this resource, you need data management. Be it big data, be it small data. There's not one way to success, but you need to know. It's like logistics, it's data logistics. You need to know, where is my data, you have to have the right formats, and you have to be knowledgeable about the use of data.
Data management's a relatively old concept, but it's definitely gaining traction again, particularly in an industry where data and data management isn't highly prevalent. You've got a series coming out on data management. Why is it that Inform's focusing on it now?
The industry is about to decide how shall data management be done in the future. Do they want to have specific vendors to supply data management? Do port authorities, for example, or ports want to be the ones who do their own data management? So is it kind of in-house management? And to shape this future, to shape those thoughts, or to have a look at the different alternatives, it's important to gather the knowledge. And since we are also doing data management for quite some time, we do it a lot in the banking industry, we thought it might be a good idea to write a series about this very important topic.
You noted that data is a scarce resource. Some would argue that data is the new oil. And if that's the case, certainly how one manages it is crucial. Why is a comprehensive data strategy or data management so important to have in place moving forward?
The data management you envision for your future will shape how you get there, because you have to take measures. How do I want to store my data? Where do I want to use it? How do I want to protect my data? And if you go in a direction of IIoT, you have to have a good data management in place to fuel all those different bits and pieces and to deliver the right data at the right time, right point in time. And also, because it's not done by just one vendor and one customer, you have to think about how to share this data and how to protect. What's your cyber security approach? And do you want to have, sure, each and every company, each and every vendor has to think about security. But for example, if you have a smart port approach, you also have to think about, let's say, a cyber security umbrella. You need to have everybody gathered safely beneath it. And as data sharing, which is so difficult because we all come from a competitive angle, also with security, it's a question, how can we share knowledge? How can we share, let's say, secrets among each other to then establish a good security approach without losing our competitive edge? Because sure, we all want to cooperate, but we still want to be profitable in the future, and we want to still have some advantage against our competitors. So also this has to be balanced.
You noted data sharing has an element of competitiveness in it, and obviously different companies or stakeholders have a different end goal for the data that they're generating. Is that competitiveness holding back any progression that we might see as an industry on data standardization? And if so, how do we move past that?
I think we have to follow two paths in parallel. One is we have, as an industry, we have to talk about standards, and hopefully we'll find ways to get more or to become more standardized. On the other hand, we have also to push ahead, and we have to find ways to integrate with each other and to share data with each other, although we don't have the solid standards. If you have a look at just something, let's say, simple from today's perspective, as an iPad, how many plugs probably everybody gathers at home because it constantly changed. And it's a pain in the ass, actually, to have all the stupid cables. And now it might have, let's say, less of a development, and perhaps we can stick with it for a longer period of time. But it wouldn't have been possible to wait for a decade until everybody had this one plug. So you have to find ways to also be able to share data and perhaps be less competitive about it, or find ways to see the benefits in data sharing, because there might be new business models, you find products you didn't think about before, and let's be honest, we have to share data. There's no way around it. We just can find the best ways, but we have to. So I think it has both aspects. We have to talk about standards, and we have to work on it, and we have to face the possibility that it will take some time, and probably not the one standard. Probably it will also evolve and have one, and the other one is stronger, and then move a bit, and perhaps it leads in the right direction.
Cybersecurity, you noted, and again, you said there's a competitive edge to it, but we'll put that aside. Is the industry taking cybersecurity seriously enough? Is enough being done? You noted that it's going to be quite important in the future. What's Inform doing to enrich its cybersecurity within its software?
Cybersecurity is not just an IT topic. Cybersecurity is an organizational topic, a bit like sustainability. You can't just declare a person as a sustainability officer or cybersecurity officer. You have to find ways that it is just part of the company, part of the way employers take care of what they do, be it coding, be it how do I handle my laptop, and is it secure? How do I handle USB sticks? Do I just let them lying around? Do I take care of it? Do I use them at all? And so it has to become part of how do we think about our jobs. And I think Inform is doing a lot on a company level, that we are secure as a company, and also for our systems we have penetration tests, so to make sure that evil minds can't attack our systems. And we are also constantly training our employers about how to take care of the security of the company and therefore of our customers. And you were talking about the industry, if they are aware of the risks, and it's definitely not a future topic, it's a very today topic. Again, I think there are always two sides to this topic. I think there are voices in the industry which take this very seriously and who talk and give guidelines how to approach security. And then, as with each and every problem, there is daily life, and there's a pressure of daily life and the struggle of daily life. And if everybody during daily life takes care of cybersecurity, that might be a bit questionable. And again, it's the same with the different topics. It's very complex how to achieve it. And you have to be a step ahead. I mean, it's not something you can dwell about for a decade, because then it's the security for yesterday and it won't fit for tomorrow. So you have to have those bright people and smart concepts to implement security, that it supports and that it guarantees security without hindering daily business and without hindering cooperation between companies. And coming back to this topic we had before, without hindering innovation as well.
We're skirting around the word cooperation quite a bit, and I might use that interchangeably with the word collaboration. In our industry, one of the biggest, I'll call it buzzwords for the time being, to emerge from 2019 was ecosystems. An ecosystem implies a diverse range of stakeholders working together to achieve some balance or harmony, opposed to, let's say, a one-stop shop or a single platform. Which is the right direction? Should we be pushing for one-stop platforms or an ecosystem of vendors, and why?
There will never be just one platform. That's my take.
That's a bold statement.
That's a bold statement. I think we will have strong parts of platforms from where we can or where we can integrate services, where we can integrate data management. But I think there will never be just one entity to have all the knowledge, let's say. I think we are too much facing a very dynamical development. And there's this nice expression, dynexity. It's about dynamics and complexity. And we need this, let's say, ecosystem of different companies, different vendors, different startups, to bring the ideas to a table. And we might have for some period specific platforms and for some part specific platforms, but it might then come to a limit what to integrate and how to integrate, and then it will evolve from there. And as we have it with music sharing, for example, we don't have just one, and it would be scary in a way as well if there would be just this one big brother platform delivering the data and the services. So diversity also there is a good thing. And you might have stronger concepts for a period, and then other concepts will evolve. And that's a good thing, because only by having competing systems, we can also go ahead.
Typical business cases today aren't designed, or tenders aren't designed around the notion of collaborating with competitors. If we're going to achieve an ecosystem, what in your view needs to evolve to enable that high degree of collaboration?
It needs some strong lead also on the customer side to bring everybody together. And it also depends on the leadership how could we say that? On the capabilities. How do I deal with mistakes, and how do I encourage cooperation? And we were just recently working, or we are still working, for a Canadian customer, GCT, and their Nevis is contributing, we are contributing, and they have a good way to moderate between the vendors. And I think on a daily working base, you couldn't tell that those members of this project are actually from competing companies. They learned to work together and to solve problems together. And with bringing everybody to the table and to focus on the table and not on where is the mistake and who has to be made responsible for the mistake, but to say, okay, we have a challenge and how can we solve it? I think that's the main point, to encourage cooperation. And the goal is not to have just forever everybody playing happily with each other. I mean, we are separate companies and we are competing, but the companies in their own interest have to find angles. How can we join our strengths at specific fields, and how can we then also compete with each other? And I talked about Nevis, it's the same with TBA or with Tideworks or with other companies.
I want to circle back to perhaps inside of Inform. I have the added privilege of working with you, so I know that it's one of your favorite buzzwords, cyber-physical systems. Terminals quite often spend a lot of time thinking about the hardware or the robotic side of the cyber-physical systems, and some might argue that the software side lacks. From a software perspective, what are some of the things that container terminal operators and ports need to be considering when they're looking at implementing highly automated hardware?
If you have, or let's say, go one step back, actually it would be a good place to start to analyze how much hardware do I need. Because sometimes the software is coming in when the hardware is already there, and you could actually have reduced the amount of hardware you need, because the software, by doing optimization, by having smart approaches, can just facilitate the performance you need without so much hardware. And ports can then, sure, you have to have, I think it's always good to have somebody on board who already did similar projects, and then who can help to find ways between the vendors to share the information which is needed, and to find ways that automation projects, let's face it, are not as painful as they sometimes were, and have perhaps shorter cycles until the profit is there, the customer was aiming at. But I think we all become better with it, but still. And in terms of cyber-physical systems, it's so much also reduced to the technical side, be it hardware or software. That's why I think it's good to enlarge the phrase to cyber-physical human systems, because it will be a cooperation between humans, software, hardware. And there's already quite a bit of work going on. For example, GCT has some measures in place how to protect their employees from automated equipment, but without having a fence between them, but by having sensors which help the equipment to stop when a human is close by, and with the humans making the experience, I shouldn't walk always in the path of the automated equipment, because then it has to stop, which is not very beneficial for the overall performance. And also CTA is taking measures and thinking about different approaches to tackle security. And the future will be that you will have more automated equipment and more humans working together, collaboration with this equipment.
We're coming up to the end of this part of the interview, and we've largely avoided talking about technology buzzwords other than the couple that we've highlighted. In 1 minute or less, buzz round, what single technology do you think will have the largest impact in the coming decade, and why?
I'm not sure if it will be one technology. I think the whole topic of cyber-physical human systems, as I pointed out, will have a huge impact because it will be a form of collaboration we are not used to, and we are just taking our first steps to getting used to. But I think it will help so much in terms of performance, in terms of making jobs easier, and in terms of helping us to cope with the effects of a shrinking society. We might not have this huge pool we used to have of well-educated young people. We are shrinking, so we need more automation to help us with that. And people might also become more picky about their jobs, so they might appreciate to have a bit more technology around them, helping them with their daily life. So automation in general will have a high impact, but I guess that's no secret. But being it automated vessels, being it more automated terminals, we have to find ways to integrate automation in society in a good way. Good way in terms of how to also help people along to be part of this automation process, to get the education not only when they are young, but also when they are of older age, to give them the education to cope with automation and to be part of it.